wins for one of these two teams, and Heroic have the slight edge. Vitality wait in the wings. I'm sure they have an eager eye across to this very match to get some intel. Heroic starting on the CT side. A good chance to post up a good start, but dupreeh joined alongside the rest of Astralis, making their moves up middle, where there is a 4-player stack. Crossfire, devastating positions, and Cadian's got both of them. They're not even sure about these players up close, and now they find out firsthand as bullets pass through their faces. And not a single casualty lost for Heroic.
This is identical to the Astralis pistol that was won in the previous map. Almost flawless. We would look, well, it was flawless. They didn't lose a single player. Only damage was done on the other side. And while you don't get a much better start than that, Astralis, they're going to buy nothing. No investment whatsoever. It's a map where you can see force buys and even a cheeky little running boost to gain, well, I'll say gain some ground. Barup actually didn't push off the back of it. He doesn't want to lose his trusty MP5. Definitely trying to bring that one into fashion. And you know what? This is almost something I never thought I'd say, but I'm almost tempted to give the gun a try after watching him use it.
Yeah. Well, he said to Frankie the reasons why he picked it up is he finds the recoil pattern easier to control, and he thinks it's better at range. And fair enough.
And I'm a scrub, so I want better control.
Exactly. Surely, if you pick it up, you will too also play like Barup. That's the way it works, right? Now, the MP9s have head straight through Astralis. And, well, the round is almost as quick as the pistol was, with Cadian picking up 4 kills, which is great news, by the way, because that's money straight to his AWP fund.
Yeah, you almost wonder if he'll pick it straight up here, because they didn't really lose anyone in this round, so financially there's not really a reason to do it. Like, you would literally just be dropping your gun on the floor. So I'm almost quite thankful that he doesn't, but at the same time, it's normally one of the ways you counter these weaker purchases is go, okay, I'll just stick an AWP in the mix. Chances are they won't have one. Instead, though, well, to put it lightly, this buy for Heroic sucks. So we have to watch how they're actually going to play this round. What is their plan? Initially, at least, they've gone for the 1-4. Now, normally the way that this works is you take banana control and then you play one man on the B side. In this case, they have just left down here on his own, but there is going to be a rotation relatively early. That stack does not last long.
Most certainly does not. Barup is just shoulder peeking with an incendiary. The first sign of trouble, he will toss that down and a rotation will come in. He's actually alone and the timing may work against him. Storm, who was moving away, now decides for just a moment to stick around and then still pushes back. Looks like he will trade out with Cadian, and this missed timing could cost them dearly. And it's the MP5 that's alone on B, not one of their assault rifles. And not really a chance for Barup to get too much done out of this. Minimal damage has been inflicted up until the moment where dupreeh takes a ton through the smoke. But Cadian and Barup also coming out worse for wear. So is Magisk. Just trading damage, trading blows. But Astralis now, at the back of the site, have 3 incendiaries that they have to deal with. Cadian, Tessis, niko, all with an incendiary. They have a HE on niko. This is a very retakeable round. If they can get those grenades in prime position, this is where things can get really scary, and that's why dupreeh gets mollied out of position. Device and S-attack holding it down. Glaive trying to spray through the smoke, but it's now down to Storm. He comes out second best. He has no HP to justify this. Wants to hold on to the AK, neutralizes Magisk on his way out, and he will live. But Heroic have conceded the round.
Yeah, the thing is, though, that in my eyes, at least, and I'm sure in many others, that is a success. Like, a 5v5 retake is almost impossible anyway. It's very, very difficult unless you have some incredible grenades and maybe an even playing field. The fact is, that was a bonus round for Heroic. They had 3 SMGs. They did some damage with them. They used their utility, and now they have a buy that is far superior to that of Astralis. Sure, maybe there's an extra grenade or 2. That's about it. The weaponry, however, 2 Galils, a UMP for your star AWPer, and Cadian on the other side, well, he has the weapon that Device probably craves the most right now.
That grenade could be money. Banks off the wall, chips 3, puts them in headshot range of the M4s now. could have a little bit of a bearing on this game. But yeah, even if there are a few extra grenades on Astralis, I would say that the AWP definitely counteracts that and then some. Tips the balance in favor of Heroic. Well-timed and positioned smoke in the eyes of the T's. Doubtful that they will start to push behind this, but if they were, Stone is alone. AK versus 5. In the form he's in, he might even pull this off. There's 2 already sprayed in. Any would be a bonus at this point. You get 3! Single-handedly repelling 3 of the oncoming Astralis players. And we spoke about a 5v5 retake being rough. This should be doable. Barup taking a little bit of damage, but Essetag is being burnt to a crisp. He's down to 5. And they have only a Molotov to contend against this push from the CTs. Will be tossed out towards the ruins once Essetag feels comfortable to throw it in, but there's one in return. And oddly enough, Barup actually pushes that molly. Time is dwindling away. Dupree taking down. Barup can now reposition in triple box, but he is the last man standing. He posts up quite the comeback, though. He's on for a 4K. He's on for the ace, and he's not going to quite make it happen. Cadian holds on with the USP. It's going to be incredibly close, but he has the defuse, and Heroic with a successful retake. It's such a nice try from Dupree, but he stumbles at the last hurdle.
That should never have been that close. This is an incredible round from Dupree. I was just about to mention that I'm starting to question if the best Danish player is even on Astralis, and then Dupree does that and gets 4 kills. If anything, if he has 1 bullet left in the clip, he aces it. Down, however, I think he's making a damn good argument for himself. He's about to put under pressure once again, and Magisk! He comes up huge. The MAC-10 is enough to double up. He's going to retrieve an extra gun, or S-Tag is at least. Tessus now has to try and do anything. And what? A straight MAC-10 rush. The B site falls. And Heroic, I have to say, this round may be a little bit of damage, but the fact is, it's going the way of Astralis.
Most assuredly will be Cadian with 9 kills and 1 death. 172 ADR. Got 1. The only kill that Heroic were able to muster. But at this point, he is playing for exit frags. He is playing to save. Maybe getting 10 momentarily. He's being peeked in, misses his shot, gets punished. And niko will not be long for this world either. He goes down. The fact that Stown and niko are both $1,500 and $1,600, this may be a forced buy. Because even if they were to save, there's not really any decent buy on the horizon for a while. So maybe they dip in with 5.7s, Deagles, something like that. We'll be curious to see their decision making. They do come in with CZs. It will be a force.
This is not the round they were hoping for going into round number 6, that's for sure. We know the depth this Astralis roster has, but that was slightly ridiculous. A straight-up barrage of MAC-10s just running into B, and I do think that the positioning of Heroic, they got caught off guard. They weren't ready for players to just be coming at that sort of pace. Now for them, they've taken a gamble of their own. Now, they went for the stack on the A site a couple of rounds in a row. The pistol round, it worked. The next, well, Stown managed to get them a triple on the B site. And with Astralis continuously pushing in that direction, they've taken a risk. They've made the decision that, okay, they keep going B, let's put our full forces there. Now, I like the fact that the one man they've left on the A site is going to be Cadian, the man making the calls. If he spots anything, if he hears enough footsteps, if he finds a reason to pull this stack away, he's making the call. The fact is, the smokes are going to go in towards the A site, but that's still not enough to pull him and his team to a stack in that direction, and they might have this spot on.
Uh-oh. niko spots one. That gives no information across to Astralis, though. For all they know, he's alone. Now they move in. niko, first point of contention, going against Astralis, and now they move in. There's no time for them to rotate back again, but they're doing a good job of holding this. 10 seconds left in Cadian. Last Dane standing for Heroic. He has to go back to the T-steps. There were a couple moments there, Tom, though. I feared the worst for Astralis. I thought they'd walked into a trap, and this snare was going to snap them at the ankles on their way in.
Yeah, the fact is the way they took the site, though, it made it very difficult for Heroic to hold. I think if that's a straight-up banana rush, I'm more inclined to believe that Heroic can win that round. The problem is with all of the angles, like realistically snapping from one player to another with a pistol, very, very difficult. And sure, the skill ceiling of Heroic is off the charts, but more often than not, Astralis are going to take that round. Still a little bit costly, but as we mentioned, this is not just a minute investment. That's ridiculous from Valde. What is that? Speaking of talented Danish players,
they still lost the round.
Yeah, they did still lose that round. And I think that was a really heavy scoreline in favor. Yeah, that is now 8 rounds in a row for Sprout, after they were very far down. In fact, I think that was, yeah, like a 13-4 lead. So, hey, Sprout making a comeback. They're taking a leaf out of Heroic's book in the last map.
I have a statistic for you here, as we're assuming that it is just going to be a bloodbath and there's not really any investment. So, yeah, here we go. Chopping block comes into effect. So, Stown, 113 kills up until this map today after playing 4 maps. Now, if you divide that, that's 28.25 kills per map that he's averaged, which sounds nuts, but you might put that down to the overtime. However, you look at the other maps he's played today, a 16-8, a 16-3, a 16-11. This guy has been absolutely...
One of them being a loss, of course.
Exactly. So he's averaging nearly 30 kills a map, and most of them have been over before the 16-10 mark.
He's pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. As I said, like, it's not something I'd say lightly that I think this man is starting to put in a real shout for being one of, if not the best player in Denmark at the moment. And that might be because obviously Astralis have been making a hell of a lot of changes and like constantly switching up their roster, and it's looking like it's about to happen. Well, it's not looking like it is about to happen once again. But the fact that in the last map, Device was on. Like, the joke that was made on Twitter by DreamHack was that it's almost like the counter card. You play Device, you expect to win. And they pulled out a Stown who is massively informed. This map, though, it's a quiet start, but I've come to learn that that means nothing when it comes to this youngster. And to even put him in the same bracket as anybody on Astralis at 18 years of age, well... The only man I can think of that's really done that before is Kirby, who was on Astralis.
Now that the eco has came and gone, Heroic get back into a buy, but it's 3 grenades and they all land straight on Stown. That's how you counter him. Just straight up high ordnance. No chance for him to survive that.
Well, if they can counter him, they should. And while this buy is still not particularly good for Heroic, that's the problem. There's still pieces missing. They've had to drop down on some weaponry to make sure that they have that extra utility. It just doesn't work on Inferno investing without having all of those extra grenades. Unfortunately, it seemed like the few that have been invested onto Astralis have done slightly more so far. And in fact, they are one of the teams, if not the team, that sort of brought nade stacks into fashion. Like, people started doing them a lot on Overpass from watching their demos. Nice to see that they can still pinpoint players, take them out of the round. The thing is, though, the clock is starting to tick. And their map control, sure, they've got Banana, but if they are going to go for a play back towards the A site, they don't have much map control in that side. This is interesting, though. A smoke thrown down to try and bait them away from A. And I don't know if this is a straight up read coming out from Astralis, but they look like they're about to push through that and make a play into the A site. In fact, no, it's a fake. And that fake could be their undoing.
You've seen this before. They bypassed pistols last time. Heroic go for the gamble, staff or save. And the gamble pays off. Oh, it's a massacre. Flashbang is good. There's no time in our Astralis. They desperately try to scramble away and hold on to what little they have left. Glaive dies after time. They're okay with that. Obviously, they have tons of cash at their disposal. But that gamble stack has paid out so largely for Heroic. The downside, though, they lost 3 players, so their economy's still not in great shape.
Yeah, this was such a risk, and this is something a lot of the time when you see post-match interviews, teams will almost talk about these rounds as if it's like a reason why they lost. Like, well, they went for these risky gambles, and that's why we lost. It's like, well, yeah, that's a play themselves. OG, they're going to take themselves the victory. They will gain a few more RMR points. That's something I mentioned earlier. They are one of the teams that's fighting to get slightly higher up on the board, especially with teams about to lose points. He once had 57 kills in 48 rounds and 61 in 71 round map. No, thank you. No, thank you. I would like to say a prayer to whoever casted that one. Rip their vocal cords.
I'm going to assume that wasn't against the caliber of a team like Astralis, though, as well. Like, the fact that he's done that against Astralis in itself is very, very impressive. Yeah, 71 rounds, jeez.
Well, they didn't last as long. If anything, that's why he didn't get as many. I have to say, if it went for 71 rounds, I think he would have got more kills than that. That's my bold prediction. We'll never know if I'm right, so, yeah. You can argue it if you want.
It's down a bit of a one and done.
I feel like death by elbow must be one of the most painful things. Like, banging it on a table's bad enough, but having it shot with an AWP can't be any better. Glaive will get an entry, but they've spotted the 2-man stack on short. And in the meantime, Device is trying to play around the edge of this smoke. In fact, both players have fallen back into CT. They're going to utilize the boost. The bomb's only just being retrieved. Now, these late round pushes from Astralis have been very hit and miss. They've been some of the most uncomfortable rounds we've witnessed from them on this T side so far. Device, oh, he falls for the bait. It's a shot taken by Stown to pull him in to the crosshair of Barup. The bomb will be planted, though, and last time Dupree was in this situation, he got 4 kills.
He did. He stumbled at the 5th. He just ran out of bullets. But he's already been in that kind of a situation. That flashbang is so deadly, so devastating. Dupree tries to flick into action, can't get it done. I would love to see that from Stown's position, by the way, because judging from the angle, I'm not sure that was necessarily at the player that was up close. It may very well have been, but I wonder if he actually shot prematurely and then fell back intentionally to draw them into that boost. Just as like a 500 IQ play. Because it looked to me that the angle was very, very tight for him to have actually taken the quick flick. But I guess we don't know.
Either way, whether it was intentional or not, it worked. That's going to give the lead over to Heroic. At this point, any victory is a victory. It doesn't matter how it comes across. Hadian will get his AWP back in play. Now, considering the scoreline, he's currently 11-2, so we saw him do a lot of that with SMGs in the early stages, so you have to take that into consideration. Also, we may be singing this man's praises, but the amount of pressure that Heroic are currently putting onto Stown is somewhat unbelievable. Like I said, normally you make these sort of solo plays when you have banana control. You set that player up on banana so they can spot. Instead, they're just leaving him there alone to try and fight. Now, I don't particularly like it, but somehow he's making it work. So if that's the case, you can't really take anything away. The problem is, in this round at least, the call's been made that multiple pieces of utility have been expended, and with Stown running out of grenades himself, they've had to pull a rotation. And the fact is, in this round, Astralis seem undecided. They've got top mid control, but at the same time, the bomb is still edging towards banana.
They've gone for a similar fake before. This is when they ran into the 4-player stack. This time it's a wraparound. Barup had a chance. It was a fleeting one. And Arcadian, who's, by the way, been phenomenal on this map so far, 11-2. He'll be pressured. 30 seconds down. Back of the site. Grenade tossed in. Lands on nobody. Cadian now being tagged and forced away. But Stown is now going to show his hand. As Cadian draws away fire, Stown can pincer in. But the two B defenders have fallen on their sword. And being put to the sword now by Device and Magus. An excellent take, an excellent hold in the end. And Astralis once again strike back. 5-5.
Yeah, I'm starting to have some issue with the setup that's currently in play from Heroic, because it's so risky. Like, firstly, you either have this gamble of one player and you hold onto the A site strongly, or you have two players there, and then maybe there's an argument that you can lapse the defense. But the fact that both the B site have been vulnerable and Arch, you're just asking for those sort of plays, and it takes just one or two attempts for Astralis to make this realization. They have won 2 rounds now with that same pincer play. It can't happen a third time.
If it were, that could be the back-breaking moment. Astralis already with 5. Have lost the first player though. Tag. Dupree goes in for the same play, but Cadian, they have made the change. They have altered the setup somewhat. Cadian now in the more orthodox position for the Orpa of Long. And it is yielding a lot of success across the map. Magisk and Glaive will have to push through that smoke if they want to get up close. Or perhaps not. Maybe just spray through the smoke and hope for the best and take down the frag from it. Burrup misses his spray. He gets punished down to 29. But that Molotov will delay Astralis a little bit longer. The spray from Magisk nearly getting 2. But now he has fallen, and that leaves Glaive 1 on 3. Faking the bomb out. Burrup's not buying that at all. He's not interested. He holds fire. Now they know it's the fake. All the pressure on Glaive. Has 30 seconds to try and pull off something truly masterful, to carve a path into success. Players running at him, running into his wheelhouse perhaps. He's clutched so many rounds over the last couple of years, but Heroic are playing this one to perfection. They keep going in time and time again. It's death by 1,000 paper cuts, and finally Glaive is brought to his knees.
I like that there are these two sides of Cadian, the one that sets up his team and the one where his team sets up him. And at the moment, we are definitely in the latter of the two. He is 15-3. He is by far the best player in the server. And the last time he played this well was the last time they played against Astralis. Now, the one difference being this time is that they've actually managed to win the first map rather than lose it in close succession. So already looking to try and flip the switch and change the story. Now, if they're going with that continuous position, they also won the second map. Now, we are going to see a pause taken. Not something that can be considered light at this point. This is for a chance to get into the grand final. Astralis, of course, wanting revenge on the vitality from yesterday in what was, again, another close-fought series. And Heroic, well, they want to go at the king.
Cadian currently is 5-0 for opening duels. Just goes to show again that it's not just exit frags he's getting. He has been so impactful. As you said, setting things up for himself. Tested with 2. A much better start here on Inferno than Nuke, but this attack finally will put an end to his kill streak. Arch control has been a consistent factor on Astralis. You already touched on it, Tom, that their wraparound plays have been pretty solid. But whether they can really pivot in against Burrup is yet to be seen. He smokes that extinguished Molotov now, and a flashbang over it on top of it. But misses his shots and gets punished. This B site again is ripe for the taking.
It's interesting that they've decided to change things up. Like, they were leaving Stan there as a solo player, maybe feeling that he wasn't being utilized properly. Now, that's a couple of times where they've switched it to Burrup and he's been caught. Last time, almost dying, managing to get out. This time, falling. And it comes down to a retake. Weaponry has been retrieved as well, so S-Tang and Device both with rifles. Dupree on a Deagle is not something to ever take lightly. Here comes the utility, though. They do have kits available, but that's all the grenades they have left. A single smoke, and it's Dupree to take first contact. But the spray from Device grabs 2. It's left onto Sound versus S-Tag. Looking to try and take down his old teammate. And he will do just that. It may be nobody surviving, but the bomb doesn't quite go off. And well, speaking of finances, speaking of the position of Heroic, their money is screwed.
Burp is having a really rough time of playing solo B. This is the second or third time now that he's fallen down and not really done too much in terms of fragging out. Potter's future best friend forever. Stown is one of 2 players that have more than 1 ace at the tournament. Budrus being the other one. There you have it.
And well, actually, I hate to take it away from Stown, but Budrus is more impressive because they got eliminated in the first stage of the tournament. So the fact that he managed to get a couple of aces, that's pretty sick. They're another team that I was impressed by, considering that. Again, they came in as one of the severe underdogs in this tournament. They definitely almost put a marker on their head as someone to keep an eye on. But yeah, another sucky bye. Heroic have managed to make a few of these work, although one of them was off the back of an AWP of Cadian, which this time unfortunately is replaced by a CZ. They did almost manage to take down Astralis when they attempted the pincer play last time, wrapping around through CT. And more interestingly, while facing off against the niko, it's a decision to fight into the apartments. One that I definitely think has its risk. That smoker's got stuck as well, so could be some space, but they may not need it. S-Tag's looking to try and make some cash. He's got a Mac 10 to jump out of the apartments, and that's pit control already gained. The CPs are somewhat surrounded here. A lot of damage being done, and Testis is going to get a kill. But that is probably it for this round. I don't know how the remaining 2 players will get anything done here, although niko could have a freebie.
Gets it done. Put their economy in a position where you probably want to save if you're Heroic. But they're deciding to actually boost up on quad, or at least they're attempting to. And mainly off the back of the fact that the bomb had not been planted up until that point. So they knew they had enough time to get up close. niko goes in on mages. They have a smoke and a flash to play with, but no kit. And now they have no secondary player. Down all alone. He knows the other player is in pit. It's just not which side of pit Esatag was residing. It was the mini side. Seems a little bit frustrated.
That's not what you want to see. That is not what you want to see if you're in the Heroic camp. He's got to reset himself quite quickly because he's always been the player performing very well. Now, he's not having a bad game, but maybe not quite performing to what he would like to, at least. Something we haven't touched upon too much, especially with S-Tag moving teams seemingly quite often at this point, but he was initially with these guys. It was, in fact, the main reason that they didn't end up signing off to FPX, which I guess ended up being a blessing in disguise, if anything, with how this team has continued to grow and grow under the Heroic banner. At the same time, I do wonder if there is any bad blood in the sense of wanting to beat out this man. They'll get plenty of chances by the looks of it with changes coming in Counter-Strike, but here we go. S-Tag versus his old roster. A chance to pad the stats, to slam them into the ground. However, it is going to be a kill coming up, but no weapon retrieved. So ultimately, for the side of Astralis, they won't mind too much.
Last round of the half. 8-6. Astralis leads. And Heroic battling back from behind. They will be struggling going through into the T side. It is a map where Astralis' CT side typically is ironclad. So certainly up against it are Heroic. But if they could pull the trigger and you're breathing down the necks, maybe, just maybe, there's some ways back in. Nades coming out, actually doing no damage, surprisingly. Thought Device would take quite a bit of the brunt of the damage, but apparently not. And Heroic playing 3 players. Off angle, Cadian gets the drop on Dupree. Another opening kill to the Heroic IGL. And Stown Haven't seen too many attempts at banana control to date. They've by and large given it up. And maybe that's why. Device punishing. Great flashbang into a quickfire entry. And Cadian's opening pick has now been turned around, and they have a good idea that Burrup could be perched up on this angle. Device, his crosshair. He just pulls the trigger. He'll get the reward for it. But of course, there's no way of him knowing, and Burrup will live just at least a few more seconds. But now the T's starting to encircle. They look to envelop and erode the site. Flashes on top of Molotovs, on top of bullets. But it's Burrup that comes out ahead. He gets himself 2 kills. He's had so many troubles on this B site. But is that the valiant attempt that they've been waiting for? Better late than never on the CT side. 2-play-2 with 35 seconds.
Ooh. It's a bit of an awkward battle, and utility just isn't there anymore. In fact, they've left S-Tag behind. It's Glaive, a clutch situation, and he's big brained them. They don't even know he's left. They're still battling for B. They're defending a site that has no one attacking. The walls have gone up. The shutters have gone down. But the fact is they had the wrong target. A bamboozle from the Astralis legendary in-game leader. The time now ticking. No kit either. Sure, they've got utility, but that may not matter if the time continues to fall. There's nothing that they can do. They need to find this man clearing the wrong angle to start. So much damage done as well. A smoke expended. The flash goes out. It's actually the low man defusing. The shot's being spammed through. He's so close to getting the kill. He doesn't even know that they're still defusing, and Heroic have got it, surely. No, he found the kill at the very last second. Glaive has won the round. Absolutely ridiculous.
Astralis fighting for survival are on the right track, and it was very close towards the last few seconds as Heroic cut the wrong wire. The bomb detonated, and now they find themselves 3 rounds behind. It's been the Cadian show this time around. Those 17 kills, top fragging on either side. And 3 players with utility, 3 smokes, 2 mollies, and a flashbang. And they're playing this one super slowly.
Yeah, I'm hoping, though, it won't be the same trend as the last time Cadian top fragged, in fact, massively top fragged, they lost their own map. And it is looking like the potential for Astralis now after losing previously in the last map to try and turn this one around on theirs. Now, we've had a little bit of fake utility being expended over into the B side. Some decoys, a sort of classic strat to throw down fake smokes. It almost seemed like it was a strat that was utilized to try and bait them into thinking they were going A. Instead, they've actually been completely surrounded. Astralis have taken all further map control. Good luck, Heroic. You have just banana.
They may have to burst out with ruthless aggression. An aim on top of it, and the ferocity comes down range. It's Storm that gets the first. Before Tess is suppressed, good flashbang. Bomb spills out, and Glaive landing nothing but headshots. Stout, who got the first kill on Heroic, the only kill, as a matter of fact. Now, as to whether the 4-player Storm, as he gets enveloped from every single angle, every feasible corner, has CTs waiting. Headshot comes in, keeping it alive for a few more seconds, but down he goes. 10-6. Astralis, their choice of map, looking good to get a very solid foundation built on their CT side.
Yeah, I have to say it looked like, especially on their T side, that they were very controlled. Like, sure, there were a few rounds that were slightly surprising. It was mentioned actually on the desk that there weren't really any clutches in the last map. Like, the 1vx's didn't really happen. Sure, there were close rounds, but we witnessed one here from Glaive. Now, it is going to be an investment. Something as said in the last half, that it can be quite common from T's on this map. Even though the bomb didn't go down, the pistols can get up close relatively easily. A lot of positions to fight, and with a small amount of utility, you can pull out a pretty decent A execute. Now, the initial smoke falls onto Arch, although I do question if that has a little bit of a gap in it. On the map, at least, it looks like it might, which I don't know. There's not really anybody there to exploit it, so it doesn't really matter, but if anything. No, it's all right. It is slowly fading away, though. And S-Tag has spotted this push coming in. The Deeg's going to be leading the charge, and Stown once again is going to open things up. They're just going to stick with the map control, though. And Glaive, he's under pressure. He's got to be careful, Vince.
Yeah, he knows it too. He backs away. He will get chased down by two. UMP sprays in for one, but gets traded instantly, and it all falls upon Device. And he's been completely baited by this B presence. The bomb in the hands of Borup is going to be getting planted on A momentarily, and Device about to find out that he's been bamboozled. He's been sold down the river. It's like, hold on a second. Wait, it's not B? Excuse me?
Please
this
don't
isn't fair.
make that into the meme of like John Travolta just looking around. He did it perfectly. He literally just went, huh? And then walked back. Come on, Astralis. I know you love your memes. Please, I need to see this recreated. Oh,
a really slick tactic from Heroic as well, though. Very well played. But yeah, Device fully wrecked by that. And now he just has to sit it out on the sidelines while the bomb detonates. Test is 37 HP. He will survive the bomb blast. And Heroic, well, they're forced by yielding the round. And now the CT's economy is in very awkward shape.
I like that round for multiple reasons. One of them is actually that it's an adaptation of something we saw Astralis do multiple times. So it would almost be like that sort of strat of you going, okay, we did this to them. They're trying to recreate it. And in fact, they've taken it and added a nice little twist. And while the twist gets them the round, also, they now come in with a rifle that they've stolen, a couple of MP9s as well. And in fact, an extra couple of AKs just to sweeten the deal. The boost, though, for Device. That duel between those two players continues. This has been a battle that I've thoroughly enjoyed. A man who's been a top 3 player in the world multiple times, and someone who I think will be there in the future for sure. Device, though, this time is starting to style on his opponents. He may only have a FAMAS in this round, and his team may have nothing, but he's playing this like it's a solo AWP. That's his 3rd kill in this round. He's had multiple duels versus better weaponry, and he's won every single one of them. This man is in superb form.
Mages, headshot niko. And Arcadian swarm from the side. It's not only a round to Astralis, it's one that they keep all 5 players alive, and they trade up to 3 AKs and the 1M4. Pardon me, 2 AKs and the 1M4. What a turnaround. And Device, just marvelous. Absolutely ridiculous plays with that FAMAS.
To be this good for so long, it's ridiculous. Well, Dupree now wants a piece of the pie. See you later, Device, though. This time it's Tessus to get the better of him, and wow, Glaive, he's looking to try and retreat. The change of pace is something that happens regularly with this Heroic roster, but Glaive will put down Stown, and, well, almost another for Dupree. This started so strong for Heroic, but they're starting to lose some of these battles. This is a full investment as well, Vince. This isn't one of those rounds where they've saved some cash and put a few pistols on the line. This is everything.
Yep, the life savings have gone into this round, but have Astralis mind-gamed themselves? They put 2 players that were on B straight down banana to check middle, just in case the rotation was coming via mid. Now they've seen it's clear, so they go back towards the B side. But Heroic have not made the most of this. No way of them knowing, of course. So they're still checking their angles. This all comes down to the timing. At the top of banana, Glaive takes the first point of confrontation. Borup will have no idea that S-Tag's joined him. And that force buy falls on deaf ears. Astralis 5-round lead.
It's moving towards the same scenario we had in the last map. Except in this case, we're yet to see that streak of rounds. It was 13-5 before Heroic started their comeback in the last map, and well, it was one hell of a comeback. It went to multiple overtimes where they eventually closed it. Now, on their opponent's map choice, and Astralis are in that same spot once again. Now, do I think that they can do this twice versus the current #1 team in the world? No. if I'm being brutally honest. At the same time, do I think it's going to be an easy walk in the park from here on out for Astralis? Maybe in this round. But coming up, there will finally be a bye for Heroic.
Should be a massacre. Will be a massacre. Dupree and Glaive put down the bullets. niko at least gets one, but then it's pretty comfortable in the end. And the money is accruing nicely. Trading up the MP9 to an M4. They could even go for an AWP, drop it to device, and have full rifles alongside it, knowing that Heroic are going to be coming in to this round with AK-47s. And that's pretty much exactly what happens. So, Heroic, one of their last chances to get a solid purchase in play here on Inferno. Otherwise, we're heading to Vertigo. I know it seems a bit grim and a bit drab, but that's just how the nature of this has gone so far. Glaive getting warned, goes back in for seconds, gets punished for greed. Not always good. And that puts Magisk in an awkward position, and he needs the cavalry to arrive. He needs the reinforcements. This leaves A very scarce of players, but it is Device. And let's be honest, he's basically a one-man army at this point. A one-man wrecking crew. It doesn't matter if he has the AWP or the Deagle, he will put you down. And he's put this into a 2-on-2. A winnable round for Astralis.
The bomb rotating safe. No risks being taken. And short going to be Molotoved off, but just look at the flank. I like this from Magisk. He knows he's gained a lot of ground. So the timing of him coming through apartments might be a little bit earlier than his opponents will be expecting. Nade going to be dunked in onto Barup, and it wasn't far away from taking him out of the round completely. Smoke thrown deep, and now Magisk will reveal his position. He's going to clear that pit, but actually niko wins the duel. And now it's left all on to Dupree. A 1v2. The first is so clinical, though, that all is left is niko on just 12 HP. And he's picked up an aid. He's found the golden ticket to dunk him straight out of the round. It is perfect for Dupree. The stars align once again. And they've already got 4 of them.
Post plant will allow Heroic to get a bye, but for me, this all falls down onto Device. Sure, Dupree gets a really slick 1v2, but those 2 frags that Device picks up on the approach, that could have effectively been a 2v4 retake. And at that point, I don't think Astralis go for it. So Device continues to just be a real nuisance and a pain in the backside. And unfortunately, on Heroic, Cadian has slowed down. He had 17 kills coming into this half. He's only picked up 2 on the T side. And no one else has really started to share the burden of the weight. No one's picked up the slack. And look at this from Dupree. The audacity to push straight into second apps. And niko has no idea. They pass each other.
This could work. This could work out for niko rather than Dupree. Like, sure, this is selling one player down the river, but the timing could be perfect. He might catch a rotation. However, so much damage is currently being done by Glaive. We talk about this passing of players, but the fact is it may play no part on the round whatsoever. As now they're going to try and rotate back. Never mind. Dupree's position, it looked like it could be pointless. Instead, it might be the most pivotal point of this entire round. The P comes out, the bomb dropped, an incendiary placed onto it. Now niko springs into action, and Tessa's run through. They will get the A-site plant at least, but can they hold on to it?
Tessis on 26 HP. He may have to stay on the site for fear of getting grenaded or picked off on the cross, but he just about slithers away. And now they play together. niko with the first. Heroic looking to hold the line, looking to try and build their way back into Inferno. But most of this will have to come down to niko. He is the healthy of the 2 players, but Tessis with the Galil, and there's niko to finish it off with the AK. Successful 2v3. And that flank does pay out. But it's in the latter stages of the round. And niko was so patient. Look at that on Mages. He had no idea.
That's the funny thing about this round is that for the majority of it, both teams thought they had the upper hand. They both thought they had the ace up the sleeve, and it turns out, well, at different points of the round, they were both right. Dupree, if he gets the 2 kills there, it's done. In fact, Tessa's running through the Molotov. Wow. He did the majority, even comes up with 2 kills at the end of the round as well. And just look at what it's done to the economy of Astralis. They've already let 1 big lead slip. 9 rounds in a row was what it took on Nuke to pull this back. This time, if anything, they need slightly less. Doesn't make it any easier. And while they've been deadly with the pistols, we saw just rounds ago what Device was able to do with a FAMAS. The Heroic, they've got to be careful, because even just guns being lost here could be problematic. This isn't a full investment from Astralis. They have a buy in the next round. So if anything, Heroic to be in this map at all, I don't even want to see them drop 3 players.
Oh, they can't. They cannot afford to do that. Simply put, this has to be clean. This has to be surgical in its nature. Testis will be tested. Astralis decide to pull the plug. Heroic, they need to get a move on. 35 seconds. As you highlighted, although it wasn't a full investment, there are enough pieces to make this a very deadly last 25 or so seconds if they don't deal with these threats. But Magisk has now been nullified. dupreeh holding the line with the eagle, and it's headshot after headshot. 15 seconds left. dupreeh, another headshot. This man is unrelenting. The Danish demolisher is in full commission, and it's dupreeh behind the wheel. He just has to stay alive and this round goes their way, and Cadian has no idea that he's on the site. That is outrageous again.
He doesn't even blink. Not a smile. I think he's realized what he has just done. He has sent Heroic to the grave. The Danish demolisher strikes once again, and we've spoken about how good he's been in this tournament. We've spoken throughout this series about Device, but the fact is, dupreeh is terrifying. And that's another round slipped. We spoke about that FAMAS victory not too long ago. That time it was Device. Now dupreeh have set them up with 7 map points. A third looking like it's set in stone. The buy that's coming in for Heroic is not a particularly good one. And based off that victory, Astralis now have every piece of the puzzle. If anything, this is theirs to lose.
Oh, I think you can tag and bag this, honestly, Tom. I think that was just the last straw. Device, what a flick. Instantly into the air, down dead before his feet hit the ground. Now Testis and niko. No grenades on niko, but Testis does have a smoke and a flashbang. Isolated from his teammate. Heroic still 4 players strong. And even within those 4 players, there's no weak and softened targets that you can look at as potential vulnerabilities. Everybody pulling their weight. Sure, Device has had huge moments, and so has dupreeh. But the rest of the troops have all been delivering. Here comes the smoke and the flashbang. They picked up an extra from one of their fallen comrades. Device is taking quite a bit of damage through the coffin, but can still stand his ground. He also has the reinforcements coming in from Essetag. He's got 2 in this round, may very well double up. 15 seconds to go. Heroic need to make moves, and Essetag has the perfect angle to spray and perforate through not just the smoke, but the head of Testis. And that will be all she wrote for map 2. We head to Vertigo again between these two